Welcome back to GemBob Reads the Classics. After a very long hiatus, GemBob finally finishes Chapter 1 of George Orwell's The Road to Wigan Pier. Take it away, GemBob.
Hello, I'm GemBob. Sorry I've been gone so long. We are now going to start page 18, the top of page 18, The Road to Wigan Pier by George Orwell. The train bore me away through the monstrous scenery of slag heaps, chimneys, piled scrap iron, foul canals, paths of cindery mud, crisscrossed by the prints of clogs. This was March, but the weather had been horribly cold, and everywhere there were mounds of blackened snow. As we moved slowly through the outskirts of the town, we passed row after row of little gray slum houses running at right angles to the embankment. At the back of one of the houses, a young woman was kneeling on the stones, poking a stick up the leaden waste pipe which ran from the sink inside and which I suppose was blocked. I had time to see everything about her: her sacking apron, her clumsy clogs, her arms reddened by the cold. She looked up as the train passed, and I was almost near enough to catch her eye. She had a round, pale face, the usual exhausted face of the slum girl who is 25 and looks 40, thanks to miscarriages and drudgery. And it wore, for the second in which I saw it, the most desolate, hopeless expression I have ever seen. It struck me then that we are mistaken when we say that it isn't the same for them as it would be for us, and that people bred in the slums can imagine nothing but the slums. For what I saw in her face was not the ignorant suffering of an animal. She knew well enough what was happening to her, understood as well as I did how dreadful a destiny it was to be kneeling there in the bitter cold, on the slimy stones of a slum backyard, poking a stick up a foul drain pipe. But quite soon the train drew away into open country, and that seemed strange, almost unnatural, as though the open country had been a kind of park. For in the industrial areas one always feels that the smoke and filth must go on forever, and that no part of the earth's surface can escape them. In a crowded, dirty little country like ours, one takes defilement almost for granted. Slag heaps and chimneys seem a more normal, probable landscape than grass and trees. And even in the depths of the country, when you drive your fork into the ground, you half expect to lever up a broken bottle or a rusty can. But out here the snow is untrodden, and lay so deep that only the tops of the stone boundary walls were showing, winding over the hills like black paths. I remember that D.H. Lawrence, writing of the same landscape or another nearby, said that the snow-covered hills rippled away into the distance like muscle. It was not the simile that would have occurred to me. To my eye, the snow and the black walls were more like a white dress with black piping running across it. Although the snow was hardly broken, the sun was shining brightly, and behind the shut windows of the carriage it seemed warm. According to the almanac, this was spring, and a few of the birds seemed to believe it. For the first time in my life, in a bare patch beside the line, I saw rooks treading. They did it on the ground, and not, as I should have expected, in a tree. The manner of courtship was curious. The female stood with her beak open, and the male walked around her and appeared to be feeding her. I had hardly been in the train half an hour, but it seemed a very long way from the Brooker's back kitchen to the empty slopes of snow, the bright sunshine, and the big, gleaming birds. The whole of the industrial districts are really one enormous town, of about the same population as Greater London, but, fortunately, of much larger area, so that even in the middle of them there is still room for patches of cleanness and decency. That is an encouraging thought. In spite of hard trying, man has not yet succeeded in doing his dirt everywhere. The earth is so vast and still so empty that even in the filthy heart of civilization, you find fields where the grass is green instead of gray. Perhaps if you looked for them, you might even find streams with live fish in them instead of salmon tins. For quite a long time, perhaps another 20 minutes, the train was rolling through open country before the via civilization began to close in upon us again. And then the outer slums, and then the slag heaps, belching chimneys, blast furnaces, canals, and gasometers of another industrial town. That was the end of chapter 1. It took me several months to get through that. We've had several problems here at the Obstreperous Eccentric YouTube channel, which I think we've fixed, and we have everything corrected, hopefully. So we will return with chapter 2, and not too long, nothing like it was between the last 2 broadcasts. So enjoy, be prepared, and welcome to the renewed Obstreperous Eccentric YouTube channel. Thank you very much. We'll be seeing you soon. See you later.